This episode is made possible by US Bank and Brex, the AI-powered spend platform.
Hi, it's Jim Benson, CFO of Dynatrace. You are listening to the podcast CFO Thought Leader.
This is episode 1062.
As a bundle of benefit all under one price, Amazon was making a lot of investments and big investments in all of this content, for video content, for music, the books, and the shipping. And it was hard to tell what is the right level of investment in each of those benefits individually, because it's sold as a bundle. And so what I and my finance team undertook was to come up with a framework of taking all the value created from Prime membership and attributing that value to each of the component constituent benefits.
Hi, it's Jack. On today's show, we speak to Hetu Patel, CFO of Thrive Market. 4 years in to a nearly 12-year career chapter at Amazon, Hetu Patel was appointed Finance Director for Prime, a role he credits with opening his eyes to the powers of strategic finance. In the days ahead, Patel and his team set to work on a groundbreaking framework that would attribute the total value of Prime membership to each bundled benefit: video, music, books, and of course, fast shipping. You'll hear that story and much more on today's episode. We'll begin after this. Have you heard about Brex? It's the world's smartest corporate card. Finance leaders love it because it's got powerful controls and rewards that help them make every dollar count. Here's why Brex cards are so smart. You can embed your expense policy inside the card. This lets you control employee spending before it even happens. Brex cards also automate manual expense, tasks like receipts, memos, and reviews. So you're freed to focus on optimizing your company finances. Over 25,000 companies take every dollar further with Brex. Join them at brex.com/grow. Hello, we're speaking with Hetu Patel, CFO of Thrive Market. Hetu, welcome.
Thanks, Jack. Glad to be here.
So, Hetu, we always begin by asking our guests to take a look back for us and try to identify those experiences you feel prepared you to step into a CFO role. Take us back. What experiences come to mind for you?
Thanks, Jack. Several experiences, I think, led up to my current role that were all very instrumental in shaping me. Now, some of these experiences were incidental. I wouldn't say all were very deliberate and calculated, but they all added up to it. First one, as I reflect back, is really early days of my life. Growing up, my father has been a lifelong professor of finance. Growing up, he was teaching at a leading business school in India. So you can imagine many conversations over dinner, many deep conversations on long vacation trips included topics in finance and finance fundamentals. But as I look back, a lot of decisions that I've made subsequently as a finance leader actually go back to those roots and has been quite formative in how I think and view of a finance role in a business. So that's one. The second key experience, this is even before I got into finance, was I think my very first job after my undergraduate degree. So I did my undergraduate from Ohio State in computer engineering. Loved software programming. There's just a beauty in taking complex problems, breaking it down into chunks and solving it logically. And then the power of software to just scale. So I thought that's where my passion was. That's where my calling was. But I made a slightly different choice, and I was fortunate in the first job I took on. I took on a role at a company called Mettler Toledo. Mettler Toledo is a global leader in precision instruments and services. And then the program I joined was a rotational program, which wasn't just rotations within a specific function, but rotation across functions. And so I started off as a software programmer over there, but then my next rotations were in finance, marketing, supply chain. And that gave me a very early skill that's essential, I believe, for CFO, is to quickly and deeply understand various functions and what they do, why they do the things they do. And so it really required me to work across functions. Later, when I settled in a supply chain role, I was working on a project which was around the design considerations of supply chain into product design. So really taking all the costs in supply chain, backing into the product design decisions, and really incorporating what design decisions should we be making differently to minimize downstream costs. That was very instrumental, being able to have that broad perspective of the business. So then the third key, and this one I think is by far the most important experience, is joining Amazon after my MBA. So the early exposure across function got me interested in broader business interest. I pursued my MBA at Berkeley, and post MBA, I decided to join Amazon. This was 2009, 2010 period. And that time Amazon wasn't as large as it is now. And that choice was pretty deep in terms of the impact it had. I had a chance to rotate through several businesses at Amazon, and rotations at Amazon is common. So I joined them in a finance leadership development program and started in operations finance, retail category development, and categories that were growing 60, 70%. Went through, led a finance team in the Prime business. Prime membership was, again, sort of growing exponentially. And then was core team member within the growing advertising business, and then ended up with private label. So the essence across all these rotations, there were a few things that really stood out. What was the key to me distilled down to this: one, ability to quickly understand most relevant aspects of a business and to zero in on what is important and channeling the team's energy to that. Second was connecting the results, which is considered Amazon, and many folks from Amazon will talk in this language, connecting the results, i.e. output, to the inputs that drive, and really obsessing about the inputs that one can focus on. The third one is near and dear because I saw the effects of it, is how as a finance leader can you be an enabler and not a CFO through your deep dives, having good judgment, and really crafting solutions to deep problems that are facing the business. And then finally, the most important piece was really the role of finance is improving the quality and speed of decision-making in a business. So I think those key takeaways really, I think, over 12 years prepared me well. And then I actually did a stint as a CFO prior to my current role at Imperfect Foods. And that experience really rounded me out with some of the other skills that I didn't otherwise have, particularly around fundraising and board interactions, investor relationship, as well as M&A. So I think those set of experiences along the way, I think were instrumental in sort of developing the skill set needed for my current role.
Nice overview for us. Thank you for those. I just want to mention just some of the titles, and I know titles don't always reveal all that much, but at Amazon, some traditional roles, that titles we might see frequently: senior finance analyst, finance manager, finance director, and then onto finance director, Amazon advertising, director of private brands. Anyway, so sort of however, the way you described it, it didn't sound necessarily like traditional finance. Am I right about that? Did you feel like a finance executive at Amazon, or did you think of yourself in different terms?
Yeah, it was finance, but finance deeply ingrained in a business. So it was largely about, yes, there's a planning and reporting and FP&A component that's strong, but it's also about how you drive and shape better decision making, driving profitability for a business. And that operational finance was a big component through many of these roles that I've previously done. And you mentioned my role in private brands at business. That was a non-finance role. So I stepped out of finance for a bit of my career, took more of a general manager role, leading software product teams, scaling a program within Amazon private brands.
At the time, back during your Amazon days, when you spoke to your peers who were within other large organizations, finance people, finance professionals building their careers, what do you think set Amazon apart? Was there any one thing? Is it, interestingly, I spent more of my time with these folks, non-finance folks, than other organizations might have. I don't know. I'm trying to have you think a little bit about how you might have been different within that organization from others.
Yeah, I think the key is who you're interacting with and the nature of decisions you're making. I do think were meaningfully different. So in a smaller company as a finance leader, you're largely maybe even focused on capital raises, and investor relations. And instead, I was spending most of my time around how to make better investment decisions and how to get better results out of the investment decisions we've made within the company, scaling advertising, Prime membership, and how do you think of various investments of Prime membership? We'll talk about that a bit later. As well as how do you really drive efficiency in operations. So those are more of, consider that executional, high impact finance components versus some of the other components, which is really important as well, but less so in the Amazon context around fundraising and investor relations.
When we speak to finance leaders, often they share their struggles to get the data in shape. There's something that really at Amazon you would have a good deal of confidence in what the data revealed to you. There was never a concern in that respect.
It is true, but it's also about how much focus do you put in getting the data right and interpreting the data right. And I think that bit starts with culture, is how willing and able are you to deep dive and glean the right insight. I think in a lot of places, I think data is abundant. It's about looking at the data the right way, developing tools and lens and mechanisms such that you can evaluate and make good decisions based on that data. So yes, data was available, but some of the challenges in gathering, summarizing data were similar, but there was a culture about diving deep in the data till it makes sense. And one of the things that I think the famous Jeff Bezos quote is like looking at anecdotes and data, and when they conflict, chase the anecdote. It's something about how you measure the data will be revealing. And I think there was a lot of that in Amazon culture, which I do think helped me develop a stronger muscle in getting to the bottom of a lot of issues, making better decisions, and so on.
You mentioned when you do leave, you step into a CFO role. It's in the foods arena as well. We'll be discussing Thrive Market, but we wonder what drew you to the food industry. I mean, is there a reason you landed in the food industry?
Yeah. There were a few factors that led me to take a leap from Amazon. I think the first one was I had been part of many businesses that had very rapidly scaled to $1 billion businesses, but that was in a cocoon of this resources that Amazon had: talent, capital, infrastructure, both tech, supply chain infrastructure, brand. Uh, Building $1 billion business outside of that is hard. And I wanted to pursue that. As a finance leader, being able to do that was important. The second factor, which I do think was super important, I also wanted to be in a business that had a very strong mission and purpose. And so Imperfect Food had a very strong mission and purpose that resonated with me. And then the third factor, I think equally important, was I really closely knew the COO who had just joined. The CEO was an ex-Amazonian. So there was this personal network of leaders that I had worked with before, and who all sort of went there. So I think a combination of all those three, and really with food, it was that mission that resonated the most with me. And that has continued on as I've come on to Thrive Market.
Well, we might have a few more career-related questions for you a little later. But right now, why don't we find out about Thrive Market? Tell us about this company. What's it about? What's its offerings today?
Yeah, that's great. I talk about it. Thrive Market is a truly mission-driven company. It's a membership-based online retailer with its mission really around making healthy and sustainable living easy and affordable for everyone. So we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary last month. We call it Thriversary. And our mission has really remained the same since day one. So I think that's particularly unique and very important to our success at Thrive. So the core problem that really Thrive Market is addressing, if you look at it, there are millions of Americans who are looking to live healthy and consciously today. But as much as they want to live this lifestyle, it is really hard. So it is too confusing. Like, you have to look at ingredients of the products that you're buying, be really informed about what each ingredient means. Two, the big problem is it's actually not very accessible. So half Americans are not in a driving distance to a health food retailer in where they live. Third, it's a problem probably is getting worse. It's confusing with contradictory information about what's good, what's not. The same thing that was determined good evolving to not being good. So I think that makes it even more confusing. And then the final bit about sustainability, the packaging and shipping impact of getting products to a doorstep. So those things really make the healthy living journey for each individual, which is personal for everyone, really hard. And Thrive Market really looks to address that. So we are very purpose-built to purely solve for that problem. So for a $60 annual membership, our annual members get access to a very curated set of assortment of about 7,000 products, including more than 700 Thrive Market own brand products at member-only pricing. So that is a core value proposition and selection. The second component is us being tech forward. So we're not like, hey, tech as an afterthought. One of our founders, Sasha, who's also our CTO, leads our largest team at Thrive Market. Engineering, data science is the fastest growing team. And we collect a lot of data about a member's health journey, starting with the initial quiz that they onboard with, forming a 360 view of their needs, and then track like everything that they browse, everything they search, and then create really personalized recommendation of products for them. So that tech and data centricity has created great value in making healthy grocery shopping really easy for our members. And finally, making our operations really sustainable has been a key part of our offering. So that really is the key value proposition of Thrive Market.
Is it you folks is there a geography here, a footprint, or can you ship anywhere in the U.S. today? Yeah.
All 48 states except Alaska, Hawaii, because we only do ground shipping to avoid sort of the emissions of air transportation. So everywhere we fulfill out of our 3 fulfillment centers everywhere in 48 states.
And could you give us maybe an abbreviated history of the capital structure?
Yeah, we've very initially our founders went to a lot of VCs and were rejected. So our initial round of funding came from many health influencers who really embraced and really promoted the brand. And then we had seed A. So we've done three rounds and raised a little over 300 million thus far. And then since then, we haven't had a round in last several years, and we're now profitable and not really in need of raising capital imminently.
We want to try and better understand the competitive marketplace that Thrive exists in. And is it, a $60 fee annually is what I read, I think, on the site or what have you. That doesn't seem like a lot. And I know that's just the membership fee that gives you the entire, but so help us understand the competitive footing here. Yeah.
Yeah, good question. So the way I consider like what differentiates Thrive Market is that we are truly purpose-built for healthy and sustainable living. So everything we do is purely from that lens of healthy and sustainable living. So what does that really lead to? Let me share kind of 3 examples that it drives. First, we have a very curated catalog that I talked about, 7,000 or so SKUs. So we will not have 10,000 nut butters for choice, but we will have very curated handful, a dozen or 2 of nut butters, which meets the highest quality standard. So everything in the store is non-GMO. We have 1,000+ never ingredient list. So ingredients we won't have depending on each of the categories. And so that curation is one piece that creates value for our members. The second, I alluded to this a little bit, is the data that we can leverage. So we collect data across millions of our members. We have more than 1.6 million members today around their healthy living preferences. It begins with them taking an onboarding quiz when they start their membership, which reveals their preferences, and then tracking everything that they browse, search, and then implied preferences as they subsequently shop. And what that does is to allow us to personalize our store for them based on those preferences and really making it very individualized experience to whatever an individual's healthy journey is. And so we leverage data for personalization. We leverage data for our catalog curation. What are the gaps in the catalog that we can fill in or with our own brand products, as well as leveraging data for supply chain efficiency. So I think data is a second key differentiation. And finally, you touched on this, which is exactly an advantage for us, is our membership model. So $60 gives you access to all of the selection, and we keep our prices sharp and have this curated selection. And we really haven't changed or thought of changing the membership price ever since we launched. I think there's a lot of value we can continue delivering to our members at that membership price. But the reason that membership price is important is it does drive a commitment for those who are seeking this healthier lifestyle, and really that engagement with the community, with Thrive Market on an ongoing basis. And the more they shop on Thrive Market, the better value they get out of their membership. The better value they get out of the membership, the more they're likely to renew. And that has been a powerful force in compounding our member base over the period of time.
When you stepped into the role, and it was just this 2 years ago now, we're coming up on 2 years maybe. did you reorganize finance in a way? Did you add some new hires, or what exactly did you do?
Yeah. So in my role, I oversee, yes, finance, but I also oversee all of operations and supply chain at Thrive Market. I was fortunate. We had a strong leader in accounting. We had a strong leader in FP&A coming in. But on the finance side, one of the key focus areas for me, well, there were two. First was profitability. We had structural advantage, which had driven continued margin expansion, but we needed to step up that and drive an inflection in profitability. So we started what we called a profitability squad, really lining up a lot of initiatives that can drive that inflection and seeing that through in the course of the year. So that really drove just a mind shift and focus on profitability and just a multitude of initiatives across the company that really helped us accelerate the rate of profit expansion. So that was number one thing of priority when I came on. The second component is improving our planning process. So we were in a good cadence of annual planning, and which was great, but we needed to change the horizon in which we planned. So we started with like re-envision planning process, starting with 3-year plan and prioritizing our big initiatives on a 3-year horizon versus trying to tweak and tinker for a 1-year goal. And that really process is what really drives the way in which organizations make decision around a long-term horizon, or would you be tempted to make shorter-term horizon decision? And that has been really transformative because it has led us to stick to our bigger bets for longer period and see through it, and 2, force prioritization of which things we want to really tackle and not really get distracted in multitude of directions. So companies like us, we were growing from $500 million to over 700 million. In that stage of journey, things like this become very important. So you're not distracting the organization and really fully getting behind the few bets that you want to make in the stage of growth. So I would say those were the two key things that were my priority on the finance side as I came in. One was profitability inflection, and 2, a more robust longer-term planning process.
Was there a specific profitability metric or a number that you tried to educate the organization differently about, or how did you make profitability top of mind?
So I think it was about across the org, seeing different functions. How does your work impact these various lines of the P&L? And really starting grounds up, what are the initiatives you can undertake to impact these lines? And then that was a collection of initiatives that we tracked through the year. So if some of the metrics that were maybe increased in focus and attention over the period was contribution profit. Like there are lots of EBITDA, net income, everything like that. To non-finance person, it may mean less, but it's really zeroing in on what's important. And so one of the metrics that we elevated a bit was contribution profit. It was not a new metric; it was always there, but just like using that more broadly. And that really drove discussions around, yes, drivers for gross margin, yes, drivers for efficiency, and really pulled everyone in terms of what are the line items that they can impact and how much of an impact their work can have on this profitability goal we were on, journey we were on. And yes, at times you also have to work back from, call it a higher level target. So we did set like big audacious goal saying we want to get to year and let's build up initiatives to get to year. And so we did work in both ways, both education and setting sort of big audacious goals for the organization.
We want to touch on AI with you. You mentioned your tech leader. This is a tech-driven company largely. What about AI? Is AI being leveraged as a competitive advantage in some way?
Yeah. In 2-3 places, really, First is not new for us, but I think we have really stepped up what is possible in this area that I was talking about. So when a member comes on board, they take a quiz, and our AI-based recommendation of the right products for that member has gotten so good that we now have 40% of products that are AI recommended that go into the first cart of a member. So we've really, that's one area where our data and AI creates differentiation for us. And so that's one of the areas where we've seen meaningful success this year. And it's also driven in greater new member experience. Those new members are engaging more deeply, purchasing more frequently. So it just had a very positive effect and a step up change this year. That AI, though, is different from the generative AI, which is what we're talking about more in a lot of contexts more recently across the board. We have leveraged generative AI in our member services space, and we've seen some very promising results where our members now interact with tools powered by generative AI, trained on models based on all the historical member services contacts and rules. And we're seeing some positive results there with faster serve time, better member experience. But it's a journey where we're still early in the process and we'll be scaling up. So those are a couple areas that are maybe more directly member facing. Other areas we are still exploring, right? Some of the areas where we will be a follower for efficiency. So you can, yes, you use it for AI note taking, but one of the areas is in the creative space for our marketing area. It's been super powerful for choosing the right creative for the right format, the right audience, as well as some of the post-production work leveraging AI. So that's an area where it's been effective. And then all the productivity tools, we're constantly looking where we can be fast followers to really see something that has worked, validate that, and then adopt so that we can scale efficiently.
As far as finance is concerned, though, is it likely to contribute, you think, to your forecasting capabilities?
Likely. We haven't made a leap there yet, leveraging AI for forecasting. It's something that I constantly talk to other peers and our partners. But it's one of the areas where I was talking to you about, hey, areas where we want to be fast followers. There's lots of solutions out there. It's really identifying what's really working, what aspects that are relevant, right for us to adopt. And now on the forecasting side, there's a second structural advantage that we have, which makes it nicer. Membership revenue is more recurring and predictable. That is nice. And within our product revenue, which are the two sources of our revenue stream, within our product revenue at Thrive Market, now more than half our orders are scheduled orders. So that also makes that revenue stream predictable. So I think there are components that makes it easier for us, and probably to your point, maybe a better case for us to leverage some of the AI solutions to improving forecast accuracy.
Right. All right. Well, we are up to what we like to refer to as our finance strategic moment question. Which really could have happened anytime during your career. Might have happened last week, might have happened back in the early days when you joined Amazon, way back when. Anything come to mind when we ask for a finance strategic moment?
I'll share an example from my Amazon days here, and it goes back to when I was leading the finance team at Amazon for the Prime membership program. But before I jump into the example, I'll start with the broader takeaway for me. There was really the key value finance can add is through improving the speed and quality of decision making for a business. When you can find those opportunities and really execute on that behavior change, it can really be transformative. So that is the broader takeaway from this experience that I'm going to share. So when I was leading Prime membership, for those who may not know, is a bundle of several benefits. It includes video benefit, music streaming, books, and free fast shipping, and several other benefits as well. as a bundle of benefit all under one price, Amazon was making a lot of investments and big investments in all of this content, for video content, for music, the books and the shipping. And it was hard to tell what is the right level of investment in each of those benefits individually, because it's sold as a bundle. And so what I and my finance team undertook was to come up with a framework of taking all the value created from Prime membership and attributing that value to each of the component constituent benefits. And it was a pretty heavy cross company undertaking. And the components were really about looking at how much are members engaging with the benefit. And more importantly, when they engage with a benefit, how does it change their propensity to purchase more incrementally and or renew more incrementally? So work closely with the economics team to develop econometric causal models, worked with various businesses that were investing in these benefits, video, music, to really stress test the approach and the method, and ultimately came up with this attribution model, which really took all the value created by Prime and attributed to each benefit, which then informed billions of dollars of investment, whether that was appropriate in video, in shipping, and provided a better framework for rationalizing the investments in the variety of these benefits, which absent of this was really hard and more subjective. So that was kind of a really like crucible moment where it was this aha that like the kind of transformative impact better decision making can have is really powerful, and finance can often play a very vital role in that aspect.
Are you tired of manual, fragmented, and time-consuming expense management processes? Then the U.S. Bank Commercial Rewards Card might be right for your business. More than just a card, it's an all-in-one card, expense, and travel management solution that replaces outdated expense management methods with a single intuitive platform. Specifically designed to scale with your growing business, it provides the control and real-time insights into spend that you need. It integrates with your existing tools, lets you set custom spend policies, captures all expenses automatically, and liability is kept at the corporate level. Employees can even book travel right in the platform. You also get to choose your rewards, either points or rebates, all while saving money with no annual fee. So why wait? Manage your cash flow better and streamline your business operations today with the U.S. Bank Commercial Rewards Card. Visit usbank.com/CFO to learn more. So we're wondering, when you first, stepped in to a CFO role, when you had all the responsibility for the first time, was it really what you thought it was going to be? If you could go back in time and just give yourself a piece of advice, certainly you thought you understood all of what you were getting into, but what is that piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back in time?
It's a good one. I think the one piece I would say is you do not have to figure it all out by yourself. To me, stepping into that role, when you get into a CFO role, it's largely just you who are in that place. And there are 3 sets of resources that have come in really handy, and I would rather tap into them, or would have tapped into them much sooner than the first set is just your peers. It's amazing how much of your peers will want to share in order to help you navigate through whatever specific situation you're working through, be it cap table or whatever it be, and forming and tapping into that network, I think, is a great resource to figure out things. The second is the partners that you have, your banking partners, your audit partners, they bring a level of subject matter expertise where if you tap into them appropriately quickly, it's amazing the kind of really valuable inputs you can get. And I think at times that could be underutilized resource, especially if you're new in the role. And then the third really is, as you build and develop your team, leveraging the subject matter expertise of the leaders you have on your team. And more importantly, if they don't have that like co-learning along with them, because that goes along with their growth as well. And so I think like not putting yourself in a position that where you have to figure it all out by yourself and just relying and leveraging a lot of resources you may have at your disposal.
Great. Well, thank you for that. We want to ask you to reflect a little on the personal side with us. We're wondering if there's something many of your colleagues might not know about you, something, an interest you had in the past, some pursuit. Did you climb Kilimanjaro? Anything come to mind? Something most of your colleagues might not know about you?
Yeah, I think many who I've worked with really know. Very recently, we've started this. Hey, we'll do 1 or 2 big hikes in a year, and that's been my health journey of how I prepare and stay healthy for those. So we've done hikes in Glacier National Park and Half Dome very recently, but something they may not know. I still go back to my undergrad software engineering roots at time. I haven't had the luxury of time to stay connected over the 15 years, but I had a month and a half break between my role at Imperfect and Thrive Market. And it was just amazing. I taught myself Python, and it's amazing in past 15 years how much software programming has come and the power of libraries at your disposal. And it's something that's near and dear, and it's maybe a bit nerdy, but something I really enjoy.
Do you ever consult your dad? And forgive me if he's still healthy. I mean, is it a conversation, Dad? That's just not, much of what goes on in that classroom is just not practical. No, I mean, is there a debate that happens, or what would you?
It happens all the time. It happens all the time, and it's much more meaningful and in depth now. And as a lifetime academician, he has a lot of this curiosity about, hey, how are these aspects being applied in the practical world? And from the practical world, I take a lot of the pieces from that he shared. He's written 3 books, and he'll freely share like aspects of academics that will go back and forth about why it's so hard to apply it exactly as that theory goes, or those chapters in the book goes. So, but it's a great dialogue. It really creates a bonding moment for us, which is.
Well, thank you for participating with us. We are up to our final question, and we want to have you look forward. Finally, actually, we're wondering what your CFO priorities are for the coming 12 months. What would those be?
Yeah, as a CFO, my priorities over the next several months for Thrive Market is really shifting focus to scalability of our processes in every single function, such that we're not growing in the same way that we've grown so far, more people, more scrappy. I think it protects us from a lot of execution risk, and it really is symbolic of the phase of growth and size of company we are. And it takes many forms. It's operational scaling. What does our FC network look like? It's scaling in our merchandising processes. It's scaling in our tech space with developer productivity, as well as finance and supply chain areas. So I think a big theme of priority is ways in which we can scale non-linearly with headcount and then top line, and what processes automations we need to put in place now and today.
Hetu Patel, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Hello, everyone. everyone. Jack here. Hope you've been enjoying our recent episodes of CFO Thought Leader. Please know that I don't take for granted this opportunity to serve you. Your time is valuable, and of course, so is the time of our CFO guests. I'll admit to you on certain weeks, I will pinch myself and say, hey, I get to do this for a living. I speak to all these impressive leaders. Undoubtedly, there are more aggressive interviewers out there, some who leave no stone unturned. But our swim lane is for finance leaders only. And those finance leaders have a unique style of leadership, one that is rooted in the burden of trust. In light of this, finance leaders must take great care not to forfeit this trust as they step into the role of being a more expressive leader. And that is what CFO Thought Leader is really about. That's why I try to remind myself week in, week out, how fortunate I am. Still, I need your help. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Email me your comments at jack@cfothoughtleader.com. And please visit cfothoughtleader.com. You'll find a listener survey right on the nav bar. As always, thank you for listening.